not every client that comes in the barbershop is gonna want to have a super high skin fade or a super low drop fade, all these fancy cuts, right? Sometimes these clients really come in here and they just want simple haircuts. In this case here, my client has, for probably a year and a half already, has just been pushing his hair back or wearing it in a middle part, having that flow type of haircut. But he decided he wanted to switch it up. He actually wanted something that was a lot less maintenance. So he described to me that he wanted a bit of a textured fringe. He definitely stepped outside of his comfort zone with this one. So I want to show you how I'm able to do these haircuts consistently. This haircut in itself actually only took 20 minutes. This haircut actually only took me 20 minutes to do. I'm gonna start the timer when I make my first cut. I allow this to be pretty much a full 30-minute appointment. That's how I take all my clients right now, to an hour. But if I can teach you how to get your haircut time down to 20 minutes, that means that you literally have an extra 10 minutes to give them full attention, style the hair, look for any slight imperfections in the cut. You know, it helps it feel like a more luxury experience if the haircut in itself is done quickly and you take your time during the detailing phase. And just think about it. Let's say even if you can't get a haircut done in 30 minutes, that means 2 an hour. If you can do it in 20 minutes, that's 3 an hour. Multiply what your average ticket is right now by 2 or 3. If you get $30 a haircut, you get 3 done in an hour, that's $90, $50 average ticket. You're looking at $150 an hour. Can you name another career that you can get that kind of money? You know, so again, it's not about rushing, but it is about 100% efficiency. This is inspired by the Josh OP formula. It's not the actual formula itself. I would definitely encourage all of you to go and receive that education so you can pretty much receive all that information and tweak it to your own liking. Tweak it to a system that works for you. I'm just gonna give you the gems that I was able to pick up that helped me a lot. And the first step in that is block graduation. So after you split the hair according to the growth patterns, all of our hair splits in the back and the crown, and all of our hair splits in the front at a natural point. That's why there are so many people wearing middle parts these days, because we have that natural split. Once you do that, you need to set a foundation. So we're gonna set a foundation using block graduation, starting in the back towards the crown, and I'm gonna slowly flare it out towards the front. I would keep my fingers tight all the way across his forehead if this was a very short, very tight crop top, but he does still want a little bit of length in the front to be able to cover his forehead, have that nice textured flowy look. So I do flare it out just a little bit towards the front. But for the most part, I know that I'm going to be clearing down the sides with clippers. So that's why, that's pretty much the mission behind setting this initial foundation with the block graduation method. Because what the next step is, we're going to clear bulk using the number 4 guard. So yeah, definitely follow along with this. And another thing about my videos is that the reason why I am giving you the full haircut, the full 30 minutes all at once, maybe it's not the most entertaining thing, but it is the most educational. If I can help you get a little bit quicker, maybe you turn this video on and you literally cut with me. You put the video on, you're watching it on the side, and you can follow along. Maybe you're listening along with an AirPod. But it can kind of show you that it really doesn't have to be a super long hour and a half long process. It was only 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, that I literally was taking an hour per haircut. When Bossio came to my studio to record me and kind of shout me out, show a little bit of love, during that time I was only taking 1 client per hour. I became more efficient and I learned how to make a lot more money by cutting out all the nonsense, cutting out all the things that, basically just getting straight to the point when you're cutting hair. You have a mission, do what you need to do to achieve the results that you want. In this case, block graduation all the way around. I know what area is going to be cut down with the clippers, and I know what area is going to have some length that we're going to need to work with. So that's why I start with this block graduation technique. Right now we're at the 18-minute and 30-second mark. Can you tell me if you felt like that was rushed? Could you see my client wincing because of how fast I was moving, or was I moving too aggressively on his head? No, it really isn't like that. If you plan these moves ahead of time, you can move efficiently without making anybody feel like, oh, this guy's just trying to rush my haircut so he can collect the check and move on, right? That only took barely a minute and a half to set that foundation all the way around. So just keep that in mind. Like I said, it might take you 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes at first, but move intentionally. And if you cut along with these videos, I think it's something that can greatly benefit you. Now, I set the block graduation at finger length. So for me, my fingers match up to a number 4 guard. Maybe yours match up to a 3 open, maybe a 3 closed. You need to find out what that length is that will smoothly flow into this length that you set with the block graduation. So for me, it's a 4 guard closed. That blends right in every single time, and I already know this ahead of time, so every single time I set block graduation for somebody, I automatically reach for that number 4 guard. Having these systems in place and learning these systems, that's another thing that contributes to your efficiency. You can see, and I'm gonna work on something that I can bring to you guys, because a lot of people have asked me even, where did I get this guard holder on my wrist? It actually was a gift from years ago, but I'm working on something so that way I can bring it to you guys so you all can pretty much just have that too. That's a whole nother thing of efficiency of I have all my guards ready to go right there. I always use my 4, my 1, and my 0. I don't use many more guards than that. So we cleared the bulk on the sides and we set the foundation. Now, it doesn't have to be a perfectly even split down the middle, because if we use this point cutting technique here, while we pull the hair up, I have a little hair from the left and a little hair from the right pulled up. I can see the point on the left that I already cut, and I can see the point on the right that I already cut. So it would only make sense that now we can use point cutting, right? Because we want that textured look instead of blunt cuts. We can use that technique to connect it all. So not everybody's head is perfectly round. Not everybody's head is perfectly evenly shaped. That's not how humans are. So we have to use the natural hair shape, the natural head shape, to be able to make these cuts and know where to go. So I turned him towards the camera so that way I could show you how easy that is to connect those 2 triangles there. But yeah, I'm gonna just continue to do that all the way back. Again, you can see there, I am cutting towards that point that I cut on the left, and I'm gonna pick up a little bit more hair, and now I'm gonna connect that to the point that I cut on the right. I hope all that makes sense for you. You set that block graduation all the way around the sides. Eventually, when you pull the hair, all of that hair straight upwards. And notice, it's not super tiny sections either. You definitely can pick up medium to large size chunks of hair. It doesn't have to be the most precise thing. We're gonna detail throughout. We're right about the 15-minute mark. We've already cleared bulk, and we've already started to clear a lot, even the bulk that's on top after connecting the 2 sides here with after connecting both sides with the block graduation. And you can see we still have a pretty heavy weight line going around all the way. Before we completely erase that and blur it out, I'm gonna use that as inspiration for where I'm gonna have his bangs fall on his forehead. So if I pull these bangs forward and I use my point cutting technique, so that way he doesn't look like he has an Edgar cut or a bowl cut. We want him to have a nice flowy texture in the front. So I'm gonna leave that bulk for now because it's gonna help me determine the shape that I want. You can see just how well that flows forward into his forehead. So I'm not gonna get rid of that bulk just yet. That's gonna be coming in the steps here in the future. But you could see, I'm gonna find where I last made my cut and I'm gonna do some point cutting techniques there. These shears are the ones by Fresh Shears. My discount code should still be good with them. You can use the discount code Tito Cuts if you need to get yourself a pair of shears. They have a pretty cool program. You buy your first pair for $100 and you can get all your replacement shears in the future for $50 as long as you send the old ones back. So this is one of the reasons right here where I suggested maybe it's not the most important thing in the world for you to do extremely precise partings and pick up tiny sections of hair at a time, because when you bring the hair up into this mohawk shape now front to back, you can see there's some peaks and valleys that I may have missed. You can use more point cutting techniques to be able to smooth all this out and control the shape a little bit better. So and I'm always doing that after I make I'm sure you guys have heard Beam say, brush one, fade one, brush one, fade one. Well, I feel like you can do the same with haircutting techniques with the scissors. So after you do some trimming, some point cutting in that area, you can kind of messy that hair up into the style. If it was a slick back, I'd be brushing the hair back after every few strokes with the scissors. Since this is a messy fringe look, I'm messying up the hair. I'm styling the hair as I cut through it. So, you know, this is just cross-checking, right? You can see short point on the left, short point on the right, and I'm point cutting all the way through. So you'll do this over and over and over again until all of the hair gets to the length that you want. So now that the style is done on top, the bangs are done, the texturizing is done on top, now we can start to soften up this ridge a little bit. Personally, I like to use a technique of scissor over comb. If you go in with clipper over comb, sometimes you have to be careful because it's hard to be super precise using clipper over comb. I find that using scissor over comb, you can see a little more of the hair. This comb actually is the OP comb. And I like that color because it's good for cutting both black hair and brown hair, even white hair. You know, it's a neutral color, so you can see all of the hair clearly that's sticking out through the teeth. And the goal here is, like I said, just floating over that area. It's not going to be perfect on the first try, but I am going to start to reduce some of that bulk there. Again, if you start underneath the bulk and you comb it straight upwards, just like I teach you guys to do your clipper motions, straight up and down, rock it off the shape of the head. I want you to do the same with your comb, because essentially you can think about it like this. You can think about it like the comb is essentially just like a guard that you have on your clipper. Does the guard on your clipper not have teeth like a comb that would flow through the hair, right? And you can think of the scissors as the moving blade on these clippers, right? So if you make that analogy, it makes it a little bit easier to understand the motions, why I cut the way that I do. So yeah, I like this method here. Don't expect it to be perfect right away. We have time to perfect. But yeah, this is what we're gonna do to just do the best we can in the moment to soften up that bulk, and then we're gonna move on to the tapers. So after going through the process of scissor over comb to be able to soften up that bulk, I did come back to the foreguard. And this is again just, you can go back, if you put a line in with something, you can go back and use that same tool to remove that line. So just little by little, I'm trying to not do so much of an exaggerated scooping motion, but just straight up and down motions using the shape of my client's head to be able to reduce that weight in preparation for the taper, the tighter area of the fade. You can see they're straight up and down motions. I'm gonna make this a little easier on myself, and instead of putting in that bald line with a trimmer, I'm actually gonna use the clipper blade all the way close. And I'm gonna take that, since it is a bit of a mid taper, I always start my tapers where the ear grows out of the head. But you know, keep that straight forward, almost angled towards the eyebrow. And while I'm at it, I'm gonna take that bald line all the way around. I'm gonna put my bald line in the back where my neck taper goes, I'm gonna go ahead and do both of the side tapers. I'm gonna go ahead and clean up that line a little bit. And the reason that I do it again is I feel like it puts in a softer line, a line that's easier to take out towards the end of the cut. If I go in using my trimmers, it's just gonna make a much tighter line, and I don't need that stress. I want a nice, easy transition. This is the same reason why I use the zero guard close here now. So I'll use a zero guard, and I'm gonna create a little bit of space, so that way we can start determining where the transition is gonna be. So I'll create a little bit of bulk here with that. I will remove a little bit of bulk with this zero guard close to create that first panel where the initial transition is going to be from bald to darker. So we'll do that on all three areas. While I have that tool in my hand, the zero guard closed, or if I'm putting in that bald line with the clipper closed, I'm going to go all the way around and do everything that I need to with that. Now I have this one guard. And if I have this one guard open on the clipper, I should be able to, if I use the right hand motions, I should be able to float directly into that bulk. Well, not really the bulk, but into the area on the side that I cleared out using that number 4 guard. Now, if you are not as comfortable doing a freehand motion with the number 1 open, that's not a problem. You can use the 4 closed, the 3 open, the 3 closed, the 2 open, the 2 closed, the 1.5, etc. But for the sake of efficiency, I would encourage you to eventually learn how to do a bit of a freehanding motion, because the less guards, the less time that you have to spend switching your guards back and forth, that kind of stuff does take time. So I would encourage you to learn and practice. If you have a little bit of extra time here and there, see how difficult a freehand motion really is. If you practice it here and there on your clients, I'm sure over time they're going to appreciate the time that you're saving, helping them get on with their day. So after you do everything that you need to with your one guard open, now you can go ahead and close that one guard, and you can just work a little bit lower. You'll be able to see as you're fading, you'll be able to see, use the mirror and check to see what spots are still dark, what spots still need work, how can I make this transition smoothen out a little bit. But yeah, pretty much you establish that first panel with the zero guard, you clear out with your number 1, float it all the way up into that 4, and then from there you just use the 1 closed and the 0 open, so that way you can just little by little work on that transition. So again, it's not the traditional way to fade, but I think it's definitely something that can help you save some time. So and then after you do that, after you work with your 0 guard and your 1 guard, now you just have to focus on blending out that bottom line, that bottom bald line there. Whether you start from all the way closed to open, or if you start open down to closed. So something to consider is, if you're a bit of a more beginner, if you're a little bit nervous about pushing the line up too far, maybe you want to start open and little by little work your way down closed. If you're a little more confident, or let's say if you want to have a bit more of a tighter blend, like you want it to be extra tight at the bottom, maybe you want to start closed and then work your way open. Definitely more beginner friendly to start open. So, like I said, there is the same way that I took the DFS formula class and I made it my own, you can do the same with these blending steps. If you think that it's too challenging to start with the clipper closed, start with it open. You can do that. Most barbers are going to teach you to use the clipper open when you're setting that first panel. I teach you to do the 0 guard closed. You can do their way as well. The thing is that whatever system it is that you're working with, if it works good for you, stick with it. Use these videos to learn efficiency, to learn what the hairstyle is supposed to look like. It doesn't have to be where you switch up your fading system every single time that you watch a YouTube video. That's another key for efficiency that I didn't learn until way later in my career. Find a system that works for you and stick with it. whether it's my system, if it's somebody else's system, I'm not gonna be mad at you. You know what I mean? Like my goal is just to help you in the best way that I can. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, definitely please leave your comments down below. Any questions, any concerns or questions that you have, you know, I'm an open book, so definitely rock with that information. So yeah, you can see I'm just finishing polishing up the tapers, and we'll check back in a minute. So here's something new on the channel. I don't think you guys have seen me pull these out yet. I ended up trying those Cocco trimmers, and I think they're actually really good. These are the Cocco Hyper Veloce. Now, from my understanding, the Hyper Veloce is actually the same machine as the Veloce trimmer. I think the Hyper really just means that it has the charging stand in the box, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, not saying there was anything wrong with the trimmer I was using before. The Sabers are still amazing trimmers. They're super quiet. I think that's an advantage that the Sabers do have over the Coccos, is that they're super quiet. Now, you do have to still make the adjustments on the blade if you want it to hit really close, or if you want it to hit a little bit softer. You have to put some work into it, whether you're using the Sabers or the Babyliss FX or even the GTX, any of those. You usually have to do a little bit of work, right, to get it to the perfect setting how you like it. But the Coccos, they did impress me in that sense. Even though I don't like how loud the trimmer itself is, I love how the digital gap, it's not really anything new. If anything, it's just a super precise gap. So it's not zero gap. They leave a very small amount of space in between the cutter blade and the still blade. But that's one challenge that I have, is I don't like setting my blades. I feel like it takes a lot of time. I feel like, you know, if I could pay extra for this blade or for this machine, so that way I don't have to worry about any kind of adjustment time, or, you know, I just hate if I accidentally gap a blade too close and then a client tells me, hey, I was kind of scratched up after the last cut. I hate that. I haven't experienced that ever since I started using these Cocco trimmers, so I think that's a really awesome thing. They're really good. Now, I would say they do perform pretty similar to the Saber blade, the one with the one cutter blade. Now, without the one cutter blade, I think these do have the advantage, but as long as you're using the Saber blade with the one cutter, they both do cut pretty similar. Yeah, if I'm comparing the two, I would say that I like the noise and the lightweightness of the Saber trimmer. I like those two. Yeah, but I mean, these, if you can get past the noise and you like the fact that you don't have to worry about how to set the blade, this might be something that you want to consider and add to your arsenal. I will say one thing. The one thing that I can't stand about these trimmers is the fact that when you have to really push it into the charging base, and it almost gets kind of stuck there. Like, I have to kind of force it out, and that I don't like. The Sabers, I can drop them right in the thing. I can drop them right there in the charging stand, and I can pull it out real easy. If I just pull the Cocco trimmer up, it's gonna bring the charging stand with me, and who knows what it's gonna knock down. I think that's a design flaw right there. So, as you noticed, the timer is done. The timer is done. It only took 20 minutes to be able to set the foundation, cut the bulk on top, texturize it, set the fringe, clear the bulk, and set the tapers in the side. So that's the hair cut in itself. Now, like I said, if your cut is done in 20 minutes and you have a 30-minute appointment, now that means that you have an extra 10 minutes to do what I'm doing right now and really make it feel like a personalized experience. Style the hair. I personally think that it's important to style and dry the hair. You never want to let the client leave the shop with wet hair, because what happens when they leave with wet hair, the haircut looks good, it's slicked back or it's slicked forward real nice, but when it dries, that's when you're going to be able to see all the imperfections or the little things here and there that you missed. So that's what I'm going to be doing now. I'm styling his hair. I'm going to give him a little bit of texture powder by Tomb 45, get him nice and styled up, but I'm also going to be able to see, and it'll reveal to me imperfections, maybe little areas of weight that are in the, you can probably see a little spot or two right now already. So we're going to style him up. We're going to dry all the hair. I want to see how it's going to sit naturally, and then we're going to go ahead and just take care of final details. This Tomb 45 texture powder is definitely one of my favorite products. I'll say it's not only super easy to style, but it's super easy to sell. So if you use my discount code, you can see it in the top right, Tito Cuts. No, actually it's Tito 10 at the Tomb 45 website. Get yourself 10% off. It'll at least cover the shipping and the taxes. You can make at least a 10, 20, or 30% profit by selling this product to your clients. So, and the reason I say so is because now it's not only like a salt shaker bottle style. My clients have complained before that, man, I don't really like the powder because I put way too much in my hair and then my hair feels way too stiff. Now they have a lot more control. They can put one pump, style their hair. If they don't like it enough, they can do another pump. And you know what I mean? So it's a little easier rather than just kind of guessing how many times do I have to shake this bottle to get the proper amount of powder in my hair. So once they see how easy it is for me to style it, they're sold real quick. In order to be able to soften up that bulk right there, that area, I'm gonna pinpoint what the problem is. I saw some weight and you can see right there, as soon as I did the vertical parting, it showed me exactly what the problem was. I see some more weight, I'm gonna pull it out and you can see right there. The hair speaks to you, you just have to listen. So if I notice that there's something wrong in that area, try taking a vertical section of just that. If the hair in front is fine, move that forward. If the hair behind is fine, move that backwards. You just need to expose that area and look at how much smoother that area is laying that we've already trimmed. So I'm going to continue to do this all the way around. If you make vertical partings to be able to pull that hair outwards, 10 times out of 10, if you see weight, you're going to be able to see like a little triangle sticking up and out. And then once you do that, then you can do as I am right now. You can do a little bit more scissor over comb, but you can see this is how you pinpoint the problems. And I would not have noticed this if I didn't take the time to blow dry his hair. So am I saying that your appointments have to be 30 minutes for a haircut? No, that's not what I'm saying. But if you can become more efficient over time, you're gonna make more money. There's absolutely no question about that. But I don't want you to sacrifice your quality. I'm just encouraging you to learn how to be more efficient so you can get the main part of the haircut done in 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes. Then you can take your extra 5, 10, 15 minutes to be able to detail. Like, he knows now that I really care about his style. I could have sent him out with a wet head of hair, but I want to make sure that he looks good, especially, this is his first time trying a forward hairstyle. You want him to feel confident. You want him to feel confident in the style that he's wearing. He's used to pushing it back, like I said. So yeah, we're pretty much explaining to him now how I have the hairstyle, how he can style it at home, how he can have like that messy look up on top. And I will say, he's not the most expressive, but he definitely was happy with the conversation that we had. I'm showing him different hairstyles. Hey, if you want to part it to the side, you can. If you want to wear it messy, forward fringe. He stepped out of his comfort zone, and I think he was really happy with it. So yeah, like I said, guys, if you have any questions or if you need any advice on what clippers to get, on what blades to try, or any more methods, just let me know. I'm an open book, and my goal with this channel is to help you push past all the challenges of being a young barber. It took me so long. I spent about 5 years maybe 4 years taking over an hour on clients. It was wild. I'm surprised I kept the clientele that I did, but I became more efficient, and I want to help you do the same. So here's the finished product. And if you like the clippers that we used, if you like the products, the discount codes are listed